Hello! If there's one thing I really haven't flown, it's helicopters. Well, not quite true. The very first RC model I got was this one my wife bought me for Christmas. It's a coax helicopter. It was on 35 megahertz. You can see all this is the antenna for the radio. And it was fairly expensive and fairly difficult to fly. I got quite good at taking it apart and putting it back together before I discovered multi-rotors and how much more easy they were to fly. So I never really got into helicopters. But I always thought, oh, they might be interesting to fly. And then something really interesting came up at Banggood and they asked me if I wanted to test it. And I said, yes. And it's this. It is the Eachine E110 and it's modelled after that tiny little, I think it's called the Black Hawk. That tiny little, very, very expensive, and we're talking millions, military grade helicopter that has all sorts of very clever things. This looks similar, but it's not, it doesn't have anything like the same tech in it. But that said, it does have things like an altitude hold and a one-touch landing and takeoff, and it's supposed to be able to stabilize itself. So it's a helicopter that's easy to fly. Let's open up the box and see what's there. And taking out that cover and looking in here, what we get is general instructions. Instructions for the camera. Yeah, I should explain, this has a front-facing camera. It's one of those sort of Wi-Fi FPV jobs, which I was less sort of interested in other than flying it itself, because they're generally not very good. But that said, we'll test it out and see. If I take away the plastic, and what we've got in here is the little heli itself, which is tiny, but it's like a proper heli. It's got like a swash plate and a rear motor. It's got that little camera there. We have a radio for it, spare battery, spare props, so a screwdriver, Allen key and a rear prop, or I think tail rotor is the right way of saying things. Little USB cord, this is for charging the batteries. It's got a little USB socket just on there. And attached to the back we've got this little thing for, it kind of goes on the radio and you put your phone in that way to see the whole FPV thing. But interestingly, on the radio itself, it's obviously a pretty basic radio. It takes AA batteries. You notice you've got two sticks which center, so the idea of this is up, down rather than throttle. We've got a 3-speed switch here, which I guess is the rates, and we've got a button here which has basically got land and take off on it. Interesting. Obviously on the copter you've got a little antenna there. You've got the battery here and it just slides off. It's a 1S battery. It says here that it's 580 milliamp hours, and you just got a contact there, so it just goes in and slides on. And you've got a little push button here to turn the whole thing on, and it's got some LED lights that come on. The manual tells me that this is just 75 grams, including the battery, which is nice and light, and it reckons it gets 15 minutes worth of flight time and it takes about an hour to charge the battery over USB. This little bit here that looks a bit like a funny screw is actually an optical flow sensor, and this is the idea of how it holds its height. Quite how well it's going to do in things like grass, which is sometimes a bit weird on optical flow. It'd be interesting, but that's part of the fun of trying it out. Hopefully something which is this light isn't going to murder itself if it, you know, has a bit of a heavy landing. But that said, it really depends what you fly over. I tend to fly over long grass, which is very, very forgiving because it acts like a sort of sponge. Flying it over concrete and putting it into the ground, obviously you're not going to be as happy. Yeah, and that's about it. So I'm going to charge it up and see what happens when I try and fly it. I've no idea quite how this will be. I'll have the app set up so I can sort of see what's going on in the camera, but mainly I'm going to be, at least for the first instance, trying to fly this line of sight. I'm a bit more confident about flying something like this line of sight over a quad because it's much easier to work out your orientation. Thick bit at the front and the little skinny bit at the side and at the back rather, and you should be able to follow it around. That's what I'm theorising anyway, but it'd be interesting to check it out. So yeah, I'm going to charge up, get some batteries in here, take it out for a fly. I had this little thing going on for a week now, and between the rain and the high wind, I haven't even got to hover it, and the wind is still up, but it just, I think I'm protected the garden here. I just want to give it a quick hover, just to make sure, you know, it flies a bit like a quad. I haven't even got the phone in for the FPV stuff. I just literally wanted to give it a quick go, so let's give it a quick go, see what happens. Okay, we do sticks out to arm. Let's try it. Bit on the wobbly side, but I get the gist of it. The height holding's not too bad, but not brilliant. It's drifting way out. A little bit of, whoa, here comes the wind. It's different. It really doesn't like that wind. It's worse here because it's still, then it's gusty. Also feels like it needs trimming because it kept on going to the right a bit. I'll check the manual for that. I sort of expected it, the gyro, to come up and say, oh, this is what I'm doing. I know I'm in a straight line, but a couple of things to check before I take it out for proper. But mostly it does not like wind. It really gets squiggly when you've got some wind, but it's not difficult to fly. Just a little bit, it feels like it's going to crash instantly when there's a bit of a gust. And obviously I don't want to take it up here because the wind get even higher, but yeah, you want to be up. Good couple of mistakes high, I think. Hello, I'm not in the field, I'm in my local park. This is like the football pitches and stuff. I've tried to put myself in the middle to keep out the way of people. Trying to fly the little E110, and the problem I've had it over a week now. And aside from sort of being, you know, out and about and stuff and busy, I've been trying to save it for the very best day. And I looked at the forecast today and it said 6 to 7 mile an hour winds, which I thought, that's brilliant. It's up to like 10 mile an hour winds, which is not too bad, but more than I thought. And it's not that I don't think it will fly in that weather. It's I'm new to helis and I wanted to give myself the best chance. So I'm going to put this on my head. And if you guys have ever had a GoPro 10 on your head, complete with the media thing with the microphone, it's heavy. If I'm found slumped over in a field dead, it's not because the helicopter killed me, it's because I succumbed to the weight and it broke my neck and I died. But let's give it a go, see what happens. I'll be recording with the phone as well on here. I had a quick check of it in the house and it's laggy at best, so I don't think I'll be trying to fly with it, but just trying to fly in general, see what happens. I mean, here's a problem. That towel thing's going to get caught on there, isn't it? All of a sudden, everyone and their dog literally has come into the field. Nope. Ooh. Oh man. That's better. Okay, we're flying. The feels like it's way forward. Just trimming this a bit. So it really wants to go forwards. And the rest, that's a bit better. It's hovering a little bit better now, but it really does want to go forwards. There is some sort of gyro calibration. I'm not entirely sure what it does. Let's try doing a circle, shall we? Oh! Look at me flying a little helicopter. I mean, it's actually coping with the wind okay. It's a bit frightening on the corners. Other than that, it's fairly easy to fly. I would say that the gyro calibration was just off when I was taking off. And I might have to put up to full rates because trying to go backwards on it is hard. Going forwards, not a problem. Hopefully you can see all this. Me nose in hovering. Helicopters are so much easier to see in the air than quads because they've got a very definite front and back, and it's so easier to look at the orientation. The fact it's holding height for me as well really does help. I say it's holding height. It's not perfect by any means, but pretty quick. You can just see on the screen there that it's what, 3 frames a second. That bit's really quite nasty. It's actually pretty easy to hold in position. Nose in is so much easier with a heli. But you can see it struggling in the wind a bit here. We've got some people there, so let's go this direction instead. That's a better idea. Ooh, don't want to hit myself in the face, that would always be good. It is as such that you can just put it forwards without thinking about the throttle, which is quite nice. These people gone now, so let's get a bit more over here. What am I doing? I'm managing to film myself kind of. Yeah, it's unflyable if you were going to try and use FPV, because you can just see little glimpses of yourself as it's jerking around. But the actual fly of the helicopter, fairly easy. It still does want to kill me though. Yeah, I think we need to put it on full rates though, but I don't really want to land this one because it was so hard to take off in the grass. It looks the business, doesn't it? Whoa, that barrow, or the optical flow is a bit weird when you stop. It just goes all over the place. I mean, really, I haven't touched the throttle in about 5 minutes now. You know, I would go ahead and bet your bottom dollar this is nothing for like flying an actual proper 6-channel heli, especially a 3D one. But I think it gives you more of an impression than a quad would. It handles a bit weird. I'm trying to work out if this is like the optical flow sensor trying to do things. It's like sometimes I put it full stick down and it feels completely different other times. I don't think it's the wind. And I'm not getting much on the roll axis. Let's have a look here. So if I go full left, full right, yeah, it's definitely... I mean, the wind's blowing that direction as well. Let's go head into wind. That's the best way to sort it out, isn't it? So this is into wind, and into wind. How are we looking? Should have done the trims beforehand, but I thought it was trimmed. That's about right. It's just, that's full stick left, full stick right. Seems to do more right. Let's have a look at full stick yaw. That's reasonably quick, isn't it? And then full stick forwards seems very different to full stick backwards. Seems much slower backwards. I don't know if that's deliberate or that's something else, but that's what I think. But it's super easy just to like hover, even nose in, which traditionally is hard because of your reversing of controls. But this is very easy to visualise where you are in the helicopter, because it
you know, it looks like a helicopter. It doesn't look like an X in the sky. It does mean that it feels like my turns aren't as coordinated. The wind's just got up a bit there, because the roll input doesn't seem to do as much. It's got really windy that direction. Let's do one this way and then we can go back into wind. Yeah, that's into wind, and this is with wind. This is just flying in a circle around me. Ooh, it's like the optical flow gave up then. Big circle. Alright, let's do it the other way, because I do notice I've got a very much favourite way to fly. How long have we been going for now? I don't know. I think this has stopped recording. It's like giving up the ghost. Can I see the little lights from here? I can't see any lights. Do we think that means it's dead? No idea how long I've been going for. Let's try bringing it down. 13 minutes it says on the recording, so that's probably quite a lot, isn't it? Let's feel a little bit more sluggish. Okay, let's bring him down. So, landing. This is definitely going to hit the prop in some way, isn't it? Coming down, coming down. Find the best spot. Oh, we still had two little lights there, which I think is quite good. Well, that was fun. Apart from the taking off bit, I think what you need is a nice flat, proper landing mat, not a piece of paper like that. That's not going to work as well. But let's try the other battery, see how it goes. Ready for battery 2. The wind's really got up again. This is such a pain in the butt, and the sun's gone in as well behind all this cloud. Painful. It's so hard to fly things these days. Bow sticks out. It spins. Take off, and I'm going into high rates.
Well, believe it or not, that first battery, you didn't see a completely unedited footage there. I did cut a whole bunch out, which just goes to show that the thing, I think, will fly for about 15 minutes. I think I got about 13 minutes before I landed, and sorry, I still had some battery left. But on this battery, aside from me going full rate and the wind getting up, I did manage to put it on the floor a couple of times, but I just thought I'd give you a few edited highlights rather than just me talking into my GoPro whilst flying around on the field.
This is rates on full, and what have we got? We've got left stick, right stick, a bit better than it was. And there's birds with the dogs, so let me face the other direction there so they're not feeling like I'm going to hit them. So I fully believe if I'd have done this with a regular helicopter, I'd have been in the ground so many times now, but this thing seems to try and be very friendly towards beginners. Ooh, it's literally rescuing. Oh, it's gone. Got caught in the wind there, and the props just completely said no, we're stopping. Can I take off from here? Let's have a go without my silly piece of paper. Success! Yeah, it's like it got so outraged by the manoeuvres I was doing, it just like stopped. But it's very good that when it just completely stopped, there was nothing in the props there to try and pull themselves apart. How are we doing? He's over there. We've got dog walkers outside. It's a constant struggle, doing our best to avoid everybody, and everyone's being very nice about it and not trying to come too close, so that's good of them. And you can pretty much fly this just with yaw if you want to. They look a bit weird. Let's just try it with yaw. Yeah, I mean, not bad. It kind of almost coordinates itself to an extent. Well, let's see the difference with my super duper coordinated stuff. I mean, I think that's nicer. Whoa, come on optical flow, where you going, man? I'm kind of feeling like, could I handle the throttle by myself? I think I could. Sometimes I want to play with the throttle more because it's sort of rising and falling a bit when I don't want it to. But I have to say, beginner-wise, I mean, they're still not super easy to fly, but a lot easier than an actual helicopter or even a quad line of sight. Although a quad with all the stability modes on is pretty easy. Even like a race quad, if you've got it on angle mode, pretty easy to go. But this is okay. It's really weird. If I just say stop and it just rises up, that's not me doing any maneuvers. If I just go along here and take hands off, it sort of rises up. It tries to stop itself. I presume the optical flow is trying to keep itself steady, because it's like, well, there's no stick movement, I should try and keep still. It's not just a height thing, just as well, because the height thing's not that great. It does look like I'm not flying that smoothly though. That's, well, I think that's 90% me, 10% the how this helicopter works. Range wise, you know, I'm not trying to find out. It says about 30 meters, and at about 30 meters it'll be really much harder to see. And as I think this is predominantly a line of sight heli, that sounds right to me. As I said before, I've looked at the FPV screen. We'll look at it now. Aside from not being able to see my phone, yeah, it's like 1 or 2, 3 frames a second most. It's just unflyable by that. It'd be nice if they had a little, you know, 5.8 VTX and stuff, but then again it wouldn't be a complete unit then, because your average person who's never flown any RC stuff before gets the helicopter and the controller, and everyone's got a phone. Not everybody's got a pair of 5.8 goggles, of course. So there's your problem. Meow. Oh, it's like I just went completely into the wind then. I said, nope, I'm not doing that. I think it's still okay for battery. I just like the fact it just falls out of the sky. No problems at all thinking about impact damage, because it just stopped itself. Taking off again is another question entirely. Like I said, you want something to put yourself on. Trying to work out if it's out of juice or not really at this point. What have we got there? I think we've got 2 lights on. Oh look, that's completely hands off. Not doing a bad job, is it? Okay, let's bring this guy down, right? It's being a little bit more sluggish as the wind just gets up and it goes away. Come on. It's like it's got more range forwards than it has backwards. Right, let's try and bring him down. Come on. What do we have? We still have 2 left. So I think 15 minutes out of one of these things is quite possible. There you go, this concludes our flight testing, the little Eachine E110. Pretty good fun, I think, but let's go back inside for any conclusions I want to draw from it once I review the footage.
Sorry if that flying was a bit lengthy, but yeah, it was a good half an hour of flying and messing around with those 2 batteries, and I chatted away to my GoPro all the way through, and so I went through and I tried to give you the best flying bits of where you could see it, because filming with a GoPro in wide with a helicopter that's this big and gets very small as it goes away, it's not that easy, but I think we got some reasonable footage and I had a lot of fun. That was the main thing. Generally, as a rule, I dislike line of sight. It's just flying in circles, which is pretty much what I did with this, to be fair. The stuff I like flying line of sight is the stuff you have to be a little bit more interactive with. Like, I like a discus launch glider because you have to like throw it and then it's constant bringing it back and landing and throwing it again. And this thing was very different to what I'm used to, and I kind of enjoyed what it did there. I have to say, the camera here, or the Wi-Fi module, is absolutely horrendous. I showed you there stuff from my camera capture. You can also like press the record button on the app, and this will get you a more direct feed. Weirdly, when I looked at this on my computer, it comes out and tells me it's 1920 by 1080. I'm sure it said it had a 1080p camera, but that doesn't matter because the footage is horrendous. We get a frame rate of, mine saying 19.71 frames a second. If only, that sounds quite aspirational. I mean, it's just horrible. I don't know, I really don't know why this is there, because it's just that bad. But I don't want that to detract from the fun of flying a helicopter in line of sight. I think that's really good fun. And I know some of you will be thinking, take it apart, put like better gear in and stuff. This has a sort of all-in-one integrated board, which is the receiver, it has the motors and the servos for the whatever you call this stuff, which lifts up these little rotors and pushes the the plate to make it go in direction. So, and I don't know enough about helis to know if I can just replace that with a single receiver to run it. Probably not. If someone's an expert on helicopters, perhaps they can do that. It would be great actually, just to have something this big with like a proper FPV system, and we'd be able to replicate the Black Hornet a bit more, because this flies forever. I couldn't believe it. It's like a 1S battery. And I flew this for about 13 minutes and I still had 2 of the 4 lights left, which I think is pretty impressive. I mean, I wasn't doing anything strange there, as you saw, just flying around up and down, but yeah, that was good fun. Obviously there are some issues with something this size. The wind is one of them, and it's not so much that it won't handle the wind, it was the way the whole I'm going to say the optical flow, the gyro, the way the board's programmed to do whatever, that whenever I flew along and I would stop, this thing would basically go that in its attempt to stop, and this would apparently sometimes it would just like give up. When it crashed that first time, it's not that it went like slammed into the floor, it just went up, the rotor stopped and it fell down again. I don't know if that's this level that it says, oh, this isn't good, I shouldn't be at this angle, I'm turning off. The other time it sort of came around and launched in, and that was kind of down to wind. So there is a limiting factor in these sorts of things. It is a toy helicopter, I suppose you could say, but it is a nice package. It's an all-in-one thing. You get the radio, you get this, you get 2 batteries, you will go and have a good laugh with it. But it is limiting in the fact that there is no manual mode. You will always be flying with that optical flow doing what it's doing. I mean, the height hold thing's not bad. You don't have to touch the throttle much. You will see it sink and rise, so you will have to play with it a bit. And you will have those weird things where it sometimes stops and goes like this and tries to throw itself into the ground if it's a bit windy. So I don't know enough about helis to say, oh, this is a good stepping stone, because it probably doesn't fly like your average RC heli. It's very much a dumbed down. It's a heli that I can fly, which is saying a lot. But that said, I still really enjoyed it, but it does make me hungry for more. Give me a mode where I can do a little bit more. Give me a camera which doesn't suck balls. Unfortunately this one does. But I'm still like, for fun factor and being able to say, look, I can fly heli, this is class. I really enjoyed that. Surprised myself, and the fact it's still in one piece has surprised me even more. But there you go. Anyway, thank you for indulging me in such a long video and watching me prattle on whilst flying around in circles and watching a tiny dot around the field. This has been the Eachine E110 little heli thing from Banggood. Thanks very much for them supplying it. I had good fun flying it. I think this will be something I fly in future just for fun, just when I've got half an hour and I can pop down a local park, because it's very unintrusive and nobody got upset with me, which is nice. I hope the review's been helpful. You will find links below, of course, where you can find it, and I will catch you next video. Bye for now. Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.